afternoon, everybody. We're back again, and I got John Nava with me and Sharon Arnold, and this is Ron Houston. We're certainly glad to have you here with us today. We've got some great guests, and we're going to get to those in just a minute, but let me talk a little bit about G&G Contracting. He's our big sponsor. Julio Gomez is the owner. Commercial and residential remodel and repair, they do it all. I mean, they literally do it all. If you have any questions, you call him at 210-601-0761. 210-601-0761. ggcontractingco.com is the website. Go to it, get some information, call them. They do everything, and they've been doing it for a long time. And the most important thing that I can say about this man, and I know John can say the same thing, is credibility. If this man tells you he's going to do something, he's going to do it. Much like your company.
Just like my company.
Tell us a little about your company, John. I know you're in the glass business.
Yes, the name of it is East End Glass Company, and we're on the southeast side of town. We do all kinds of glass work. Speaking of Julio, he does a lot of remodel for shower doors, mirrors, and bathrooms and stuff like that, and we could do all that. So if y'all need anything, shower doors or whatever, storefronts or whatever, please give us a call at 210-333-2210. Again, that is 210-333-2210.
Name of your company again?
It's East End Glass.
And how long have you been out there with them?
Well, I've been in the glass business about 51 years, so yes, I'm an old man.
51 years?
51 years.
No, it's not working.
It's not working.
We got a technical problem here. We'll finish it. We'll work with this until we can get it fixed. All right, we got somebody special here today. We almost forgot the other special. And try yours, see if your mic is working.
Hello.
Louder, closer.
Hello.
Can you hear her?
Yeah, you can hear me.
And with that, Sharon Arnold with us today. And Sharon, you brought somebody real special with you today.
Oh, my God. We have a great special guest. Trace Kleberg is here. And he's been with the rodeo since the 70s. And he's done so much out there, just on and on and on. And he's still on the board, right? Yep.
He looks and looks. Yeah, I'm still on the board. I don't think they want to let you go, do they?
We don't want to let you go. And you've served as chairman of the board for 9 years. And you were inducted into the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo Hall of Fame in 2013.
I was there for that. I remember that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And you've got a long history of serving. We also want to say thank you for your service in the Marines, because you were
no Navy.
Navy.
The Navy.
You were a Navy pilot.
Yeah.
Right. And you did that for a long time. And how many years?
5 years.
So you were in Vietnam?
No, I was during the Vietnam period.
Okay.
I served over in the Mediterranean.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have to go to Vietnam and get shot at, huh?
No, thank goodness we got on the Forrestal, which had just come out of the yard. That's the ship that
caught fire.
Wow. And so it was in the yard for 2.5 years. And when it came out, they'd made the decision that no East Coast carriers were going to go to Westpac because of the cost to take them around the Horn. And so they took all the aircraft off except our squadron, which was a new squadron, and shipped them to the West Coast and reloaded us after we'd gone out and done the sea trials and everything, and shipped us to the Mediterranean. The downside of the transition was before you'd go to sea for 6 months and come back, but on this turnaround it was a year.
Wow.
And so to be gone from home.
That long.
That's a long time.
It is a long time, but luckily for me, I got on it and was getting ready to get out. So
it worked out good for you.
So it worked out for me.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you for all you do. Now, speaking of the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo, you did a lot over there. Can you explain to us a little bit what you do, and also explain to them about the Coliseum moving to, then it was the AT&T Center, but now it's the Frost Center. That was very fascinating. Mm-hmm. If you could explain to us about that, that'd be.
Well, I started with the stock show in 1972 after I'd come back from the Navy, and I was working for Frost Bank, and Frost Bank encouraged all of their employees, as many of the great companies in San Antonio do, to get engaged in your community, find a philanthropic organization, volunteer, and get involved. And because I'd grown up in agriculture, had been in FFA, and had been to the stock show and calf scramble when I was a young boy, and so I thought that would be a good place to go. So because I'd been in the service and just come back to San Antonio, the Chamber of Commerce had what they called a farm and ranch tour, and loaded everybody on a bus that was interested in going, and we were going down to South Texas, to Robstown, Corpus Christi, the farming area. And so I said, I want to go to that. And when I was on the bus, I realized all these guys are older men. Turned out they were the who's who of San Antonio, and heard them talking about stock show and rodeo and scholarships and doing all kinds of stuff. And I thought, how do you get involved in that? And they said, do you have $100?
Wow.
And I said, what does that do? And he said, well, you can become a life member. And so I said, I don't have $100 on me, but I can, and I don't even have a checkbook on me. But, so one of the guys who was my, Clyde Johnson, who was my wife's
big rancher,
and also very heavily involved here in San Antonio. And he said, I'll vouch for him. Says, I'll give you the $100 and he'll pay me back. So that was how I got.
That's how it all started.
That's how it
Clyde
all started.
Johnson helped you out.
Clyde Johnson helped me out.
So I didn't know that.
So $100 got you from here to there.
That's great.
But I got involved, and it's the best thing I ever did in my life.
It is.
Because I met so many people, and being in the banking business, that's important to have a relationship and know
you want to
people.
know them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was my beginning, and looking back, that's how everybody gets started. Is they have something that hooks them and gets them interested, and when you get out there with all these other folks that are volunteers, and you realize that your salary's not a whole lot, but your time is well spent.
It is.
It is.
The rodeo couldn't make it without your volunteers. We would not exist.
Absolutely.
And I think they got, about 6,000 now?
Yeah, over that now.
Over 6,000. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, we've really grown, and it continues to grow.
Every year.
Which is really amazing.
You started off at the bottom, and you ended up chairman of the board. For people that don't know, chairman of the board is the highest ranking person out there. A volunteer.
Right, volunteer.
You have an executive director, but that's the highest volunteer, chairman of the board.
Right.
And so, was there any particular level that you were more excited about than others, or were they all the same? Pretty good.
No, it's a progression, and every position is important, and every position has responsibility. And I was lucky to get involved and started out in the auction committee and then went to calf scramble because I wanted to spend more time with kids. Mm-hmm. And then from that got asked to be on the executive committee, and then
which is what actually runs the rodeo.
Yeah, they're the organizational part that sets the rules and so forth. And the executive director / CEO, they carried out at the direction of the executive committee and the chairman of the board. And we transitioned from a time when we had chairman of the board, had no timeline. Mm-hmm. It was almost like you were chairman of the board for life. And when I was president, when we celebrated our 50th, Mary Ann, who was Mary Ann West, she was on the chairman of the board of regents for Texas A&M, so she was gone for 6 years. And during that time, the executive committee realized that we had great responsibility, but we needed to rethink how we were going to operate because the chairman wasn't there telling us what to do. And so that's at the same time when we were making the transition from the Coliseum.
Which was a critical time to have leadership.
Absolutely. But the executive, we found out we had the leadership we needed, we had Tom Frost on the executive committee, and Fully Klingman, and myself, and a bunch of others, Jimmy Ruth Evans, Elaine Vanderwally, George Light. There was a great group.
It was a great group
of folks that all had experience in all the aspects of it. And the Spurs group were trying to get a new arena. And the decision was made that the best place for it was out there where the stock show was. But we had to get the support of the city and had to get support of the voters, and realized that the stock show really had the most people that had credibility with the volunteers. And so they formed a group called the Saddles and Spurs, which was a combination of the Spurs group and the livestock group, and went out on a campaign to explain why it was so important. Well, the main reason was what the stock show could contribute based on the people that came to our events. And the Coliseum was limited to, I remember it was like 9,600 or so. But if you got into the arena, it was 16,700.
Yeah.
And when you looked at the revenues, it would be like triple what being in the arena was versus the Coliseum.
That wasn't an easy decision for a lot of people.
No.
I remember myself going through this, and other people. There was an emotional attachment to the Joe Freeman Coliseum.
Absolutely.
Because all of us have been going there since we were little kids.
And I was included. I mean, everybody was.
I was too.
It took me a while to get okay with that.
But when you look at the
revenue,
at what our purpose was,
raise money for kids,
raising money for kids. And Mary Ann's actually who started that deal in '84 with the scholarships and stuff. And that was dramatic. When you look at today, what we're doing, and what we have done.
And it took someone like Mary Ann to do it.
Absolutely.
Because all those guys out there wouldn't have gone along with anybody else.
No. Yeah. You know, we all have a place in time during our time, and you realize that you have to realize that and make the most of it when you can. And that's what we realized at the time when we were having to make that responsibility to get it done. And when you look back, each group in their time contributes tremendously to what has gone on, especially at our show.
The scholarships, it's great.
The scholarships.
I remember you riding your Harley.
You still got a Harley?
No, I had to get rid of my Harley. My knees couldn't handle it anymore.
Do you remember you guys were out there by the Freeman?
Right.
And Keith was on a horse and you were on your Harley.
Well, and that was a volunteer.
I missed that one.
That was a volunteer group that called me on the phone and saying that they didn't have any place to park their bikes. And so I said, that's strange. We got plenty of places to put bikes. And they said, yeah, but nobody will give us permission. So I called Keith and told him, I said, you know, we've got a lot of volunteers that come out here on their bikes, and they don't want people crawling all over them and messing with their stuff because they got a lot of money involved in those things. Is there some place we can put their bikes where they can, you know, not be messed with? And we got them a place, and because we had all the bikes out there, we thought it'd be cool.
They did. It was cool. Didn't we have the media out there, too?
Yeah, had the media out there. Horses and bikes and everything.
Horses and bikes and all of it.
We want to say thank you for being with us today.
I love it. Thank you so much for doing this.
Our goal is just like yours is and everybody else's. Our goal is to help raise money for the scholarships. And so what we decided to do was to help talk about some of the folks that are volunteers and honor them for what they do. Because as you know, you do a lot of work out there. Not everybody comes along and pats you on the back.
No.
So we're patting everybody on the back that's a volunteer.
That's great.
And if you've got a volunteer story and you're listening, you can call me at 830-426-9228. And we will talk to somebody and visit with them and see about getting those people on, because we love great stories of people that were great volunteers. And we know that you were one of those.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to do a little commercial here. And then
Thank you so much, Trace.
We'll get our next guest on here, Derek Adams. G&G Contracting, and John, you know G&G Contracting pretty good.
Yes, I do. He's a very good. Well, actually, he's related to me, but no, he's a good work. He got a lot of companies that he does. He does remodeling,
and he's a big supporter of the rodeo.
He's a very.
I've seen him write checks for $5,000 out there.
He is a big supporter. He's part of the raffle committee. I've been on the raffle committee since day one, and he's been on it. And he supports a lot of it.
Now, they do a lot of things, don't they?
They do a lot of good stuff.
They do drywall, demolition, lead and mold remediation, sidewalks and curves. I mean, it's just a few. The best thing to do is go to the website, ggcontractingco.com, ggcontractingco.com, or you can call him. His name is Julio. Ask for Julio. He's the owner. 210-601-0761. 210-601-0761. And it's called G&G Contracting, and the gentleman's name is Julio Gomez. Just ask for him. Tell him you heard about it on Talk About Texas. All right. Let's see. Sharon, you going to introduce this gentleman?
Yes, I am. I've known him since he was a baby.
A baby.
A baby. Derek Adams, and he books all the entertainment at the stock show and rodeo.
Derek, how did you get this job is what I want to know.
Well, it's a long story, but I was very glad I got here. I started with the rodeo in 2003, and very similar to Trace mentioned, dynamic transition period for the show. I grew up in Dallas, really didn't have an agricultural background, but through a connection, I met leadership in San Antonio, and I kind of fell in love with the mission and the people that we're working with. And so I kind of blindly moved to San Antonio for this opportunity. And so I actually started with the rodeo 5 days before the rodeo kicked off. Keith Martin told me.
So the talent has already been booked.
The talent had already been booked that year, but they brought me in with the fact that in 2004, it was going to be on me.
No pressure or anything, huh?
No. So I moved to San Antonio. I didn't know anybody. They stuck me in the, at that time, SBC Center basement because I was handling all the logistics and the backstage production for all the concerts. I think at that time we did maybe 17 shows in those 18 days. Didn't know a soul, so I was drinking from the fire hose, but absolutely loved it. And so, the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you booked the stars to come out here?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm been with the rodeo 13 years officially. I took a little vacation to go get some more life experience, but I came back 7 years ago.
Thank God.
So out of 13 rodeos, I've booked entertainment 8.5 of those years.
Really?
And he books 21 entertainers for every rodeo.
Well, let me ask you something. How do you find these people?
Well, obviously we do a lot of research and we pay attention to what's going on in the area. The good news is we just completed our 75th anniversary in 2024, so we've been around for 76 years. We've got a great history and tradition of not only of our event, but strong ticket sales. We have a huge season ticket base. And so when you talk to folks in the entertainment industry, the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo is on the map already.
Wow, that's
in
good
the
to
mind
know.
of entertainers. And so then it comes down to creating a lineup that has a variety of
diversity.
Yes, to really try to, as many different music fans a taste of the type of music they like and their favorite entertainers to support that rodeo. Unlike a normal concert situation, you're buying a rodeo ticket, you get to experience the entire fairgrounds, you get to go into the barns, you're getting a 2-hour PRCA rodeo that is right at the top level with the NFR in Vegas, and then you get about a 60-minute concert. So it's kind of like a meet and greet with one of your favorite acts.
Well, I can tell you, I have done what you've done on a smaller scale. It's not easy. It's not easy because it's a judgment call on your part when you sign that contract, whether they're going to make it or not, isn't it?
It is. There's a lot of gut involved. Like I said, we try to research as best as possible. You look at radio figures, you look at ticket sales in other areas, not only of San Antonio, but around our state, other markets. But, nowadays, so many people are streaming music digitally through their phone or their computer, or they're watching virtual concerts. And so the data is a little harder to come by. So that's why we really try to get, basically a cross-section of popular acts, from all varieties of music.
Can you give us a website where people can go and find out what the talent is coming up?
Yeah, so if you go to www.sarodeo.com, it'll have our full lineup. Like Sharon said, we're doing 22 shows in the 18-day period in the Frost Bank Center, and it's an exciting lineup. We're very proud of it.
And he has some listed here that he can talk about.
Derek Adams, thank you so much for being there to do what you do, because without you, that wouldn't be the same kind of rodeo, would it?
Well, we have a good team that helps, and like I said, it's just all about the overall big picture of our event.
Thanks for being with us. Now let's move on. Speaking of rodeo tickets, we've got Melissa Mahula on the line. Melissa, are you there?
I am. Hi.
Good afternoon to you. Good to have you here. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing out there.
Yes, so I'm a volunteer on the Rodeo Ticket Committee, and so I help support the ticket office, and we go out and advocate for, to talk about the rodeo, sell tickets, sell ground passes, carnival passes. And I tell you what, Derek K., you're my buddy. He has a hard job booking all those entertainers, so we're so grateful. We have so much good response of the entertainer list this year that it's just unbelievable. It's hard to keep up. And we have a lot of people on our committee that help support, additional, ticket sales as well.
Now, do you still have any tickets left for that big show they do on the arena floor?
Oh, yeah. We have lots of Star Experience tickets left. We actually have a deadline coming up pretty soon for our discounted carnival passes. So get your discounted carnival passes and ground passes before February the 4th. It's a 61% savings on that unlimited rides any one day. So we're really pushing carnival. It's super fun.
Now, tell me about I know you've got that special experience on the floor of the arena. Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, yeah, the Star Experience. Well, you get a first-class private dinner, and you get to dine in a private area. You get 2 drink tickets, and then you get to watch the performance in the fan zone, and then you get to go down to the bottom, and they take you in the dirt and watch the concert in the dirt up close. It's super fun around the stage. And we have 2 different packages. One's a premium, which guarantees the first 2 rows in the dirt, and then we have the standard $210 each and behind row 2.
Okay, if anybody out there listening, be sure to call her. And Melissa, if you would just pass out your phone number so they can contact you.
Please do. My name's Melissa Mahula, 210-387-8081.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for all you do, Melissa.
Thanks, Melissa. We appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's Rodeo San Antonio.
That's Rodeo.
And we do want to say thank you to Melissa, because she's really been hustling and working hard for us.
She has. She's a sweetheart.
John, you got anything else before we go?
That's about it. And I want to thank Trey and Derek for coming out here.
Trace Kleberg for our history, because that's one of the things I like about having do this show is we get some history of the rodeo that if you don't have connections to the right people, you never hear that history. But there's a lot of good history out there and how this thing came about. It just didn't happen by itself. No, it happened. It had a lot of good people. And
how many rock and roll stars do you have, Derek, coming?
This year we have Sammy Hagar. He's been here about 2 years ago, so he's going to be our main rock show.
Ooh, good. And then what else do you have?
Yeah, we got some time to kill stretch here.
All right, we've got
Wetzel,
Keith
rock and
Urban.
roll.
We opened up with Scotty McCreery, Nashville. Co Wetzel, who is kind of a flame-throwing Texas guy. It's really taken the scene by storm. We've got 90s Mondays country with Diamond Rio. On Super Bowl, we've got classic country with the Bellamy Brothers, who kind of, in my mind, the original Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah.
We've got Turnpike Troubadours, Whiskey Myers for the Texas music fans. Nate Smith and Tyler Hubbard is kind of up-and-coming Nashville folks. Our Extreme Bulls performance with Zach Top is probably the hottest ticket that we've seen.
I know. People have been calling me about that.
And then our rodeo finals, which is when we award all of our champions, we'll be wrapping up with Dwight Yoakam.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Well,
That's
thank
a
you,
good
folks.
lineup. You did a good job, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate
He
you.
always does.
Oh, yeah.
He's a rock star.
Thank you for joining us today, folks. We appreciate it. And don't forget, give our sponsor a call, Julio Gomez. You can reach him at 210-601-0761. 210-601-0761. It's
Well, for
called
rodeo tickets, go sarodeo.com.
SOrodeo.com if you want some tickets. Thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you, John, for being
You're
here today,
welcome.
Mr. John Nava. And we thank you, Miss Sharon Arnold. And we thank you, Derek Adams. I started to say Mr. I'm sorry. Ow!
He's been drinking.
Trace Kleberg, past chairman of the board.
Thanks, Trace.
And we thank you folks for listening in today. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good week, okay?